So, hi, evening all. I think we're going live. Hope everything's sounding all right. If you can hear me and everything like that, it'd be absolutely brilliant. Welcome to the Sunday night chat. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you've had a really good week since we spoke to each other last. I did ask if anybody wanted to speak to anything, about anything in particular in the way of energies and so forth. There was anything that sort of like tickled your fancy in the way of sort of comments. If you leave it up to me, obviously I'm just going to start talking about energy, pole shift, and that sort of thing, and how it's going to be affecting us. So that's what I was thinking of doing today. So if you've got any questions, I can see the comments, I think, as they come in. So you're more than welcome to, chuck me some comments through. Okay. So yes, I thought just looking at the way in which the energy update's been sort of going, and the messages from the Earth and stuff like that. There's been a lot of changes within the centre of the Earth, and it's becoming a lot more dimensional in the way of its aspects in regards to portals and that sort of thing. And it goes hand in hand with the geological and the species upon this planet, but also through the solar system itself. We've been seeing major changes across the solar system in every single planet, and that's because we're getting close to the inversion point of the galactic plane. And as we go through that, obviously we go from negative magnetic field to positive magnetic field. It could be the either way. Doesn't really matter. There's not one that's better than the other. I'll just make sure I'll be absolutely clear about that. And that has physical consequences upon the planetary system, has physical consequences upon us, but it also has sort of spiritual and energetical sort of like consequences as well. So I'd like to sort of go into that. And as I go into that, hi Glenn, evening Glenn, hello Leslie, how you doing? Lovely to see the pair of you there. Yes, so to go in to really understand what's coming down the line, we really need to observe what is going on in the way of energy through the system. And that energy through the system I'm sorry, I'm just sorting out all my screens, do apologise. The energy through the system is it's like a precursor to what is coming up. And the changes in the magnetic fields over long periods of time have certainly showed that the magnetic pole shift is a real thing that sort of we are going through at the moment, and it can take thousands of years. So don't worry. I wouldn't worry about life. Never worry about life. It's not worth it. Really not worth it. Life is for living, and it should be really lived upon. So let me just bring up. Let's start that. So what I'm trying to say is when you're looking at the aura system or your chakras and your auras and your own energy system, you've got to understand that we are dependent upon the Earth is dependent upon the Sun is dependent upon the galaxy upon the universe, and so forth and so forth. And so if we can just recognize it, and so if you're looking at the Earth, if you're looking at it as an energetic system, once you can start seeing how it all sort of fits together, it's going to be you're going to be able to see a lot more clearer, the changes in the energy that is going through us as individuals and us as collectively. So let me just bring up. This is going to be really geological stuff, geography sort of stuff at the moment. Let me just show you here. This is an old map, as you can well see. It goes from, the 1600s or something like that. goes from the 1600s, and you can see the morphing aspect of the magnetic field. One thing I think you should pay attention to is over here on the left-hand side. You can see this line here that sort of groups together, and that's going the magnetic neutral line, which is going through America at the moment. And but it's also bringing up here a lot of sort of negative energy, as it were. And I don't mean negative as in nasty energy. It's just negative and positive in the way of magnetics. Negative energy here and positive energy here. So we can see this possibly on, let's just have a, let me pull up that one there. That's another map here. This shows it a little bit clearer in modern day times, as it were. And you can see the magnetic pole of the South Pole here. It's milling about here, but it's gradually making its way to Australia. And it's going up through this section here. And you can see this green line, which is the medium line of energy, as it were. Like we can see that green line going up here. It's like the north and south medium lines. And so we got this positive energy up here and the negative energy down there. And this is what we have been noticing this a lot more within the magnetic field of the Earth. And this is what we call the South Atlantic anomaly. This section here, so we got that neutral line that goes up there and that neutral line that goes down here. So you can see this blue here being pulled into the neutral line. And you can see this positive that's been pulled up here from the South American sort of situation there. Now, there is one thing, how does it tie into, sorry about that, how does it tie into our magnetic field or our energies, as it were? Here is where we got that minus, as it were, and there we have the root chakra. And here we got that positive up here in this section here. And here we have the crown chakra. And these two chakras here on these energy lines, and this is a map I did sort of like 20 odd years ago. These two energy lines are exactly the same. They're the only two chakras of the Earth that are playing on the same energy lines. So what's happening here is this energy here, where did I got my dowsing rods? Let me get my dowsing rods. This will help me out. This energy, if you like, you can't really see it there. I'll have to use my pipe. Okay. This energy is going between there and there. That's the first thing. It's going from this section here. It's being pulled into the Earth, goes through the center of the Earth, and then comes out there. And that is pulling the magnetic North Pole. From here is being pulled down through here. And the South Pole is being pulled up through here. Now this, we get complications with this. And we're starting to see changes upon the Earth. This is just to give you a heads up of what is going on in the way of energy and the way it's shifting. This is the earthquake map here over the last 7 days of 4 and 5 and above. And as you can see here, this is around the solar plexus in this section here. You've got the solar plexus here. You've got the third eye and the throat chakra, which is just up here. And then you've got the, let me just see it so I can see what I'm talking about. Here's the heart chakra up here. And you can see this energy going from the solar plexus to the heart chakra. Okay, so it's really playing through at the moment. Let me just pull back onto that map there. Where has it gone? No, it's that map there that I want. So this energy is being pulled like up that sort of section there, like that. And when we go back to the earthquake map, what you'll see is there's earthquakes around here in Ethiopia and etc., and volcanoes which are happening, and this is quite important. But we've also got just on the other side of this line here, just here, we've got the earthquakes and the volcano happening in Greece, and this is that balancing act that is going between the energy. The energy is being pushed out in that way. It's coming to the surface. And we saw that in the messages from the Earth as regards to the center of the Earth, of how over the past 2 months, I've been saying that the energy from the center of the Earth is going out. And it was really blown out, really, over the past 2 months on the messages from the Earth. It was really blown out And now it's come back to sort of a sort of concentration, as it were, where now starting to see the portal of the Earth opening up, and this allows for communications through energy on multitudes of different dimensions. And this is affecting us as individuals and also as collectively as well. So if you take what is happening onto the Earth at the moment, you will be able to see the similar sort of things happening for us. When I talk about the energy being sucked through from the root to the crown, that's exactly what's happening within us. The Kundalini is a tendency at the moment to be drawn centrally up towards the crown chakra within us, most of us. And, obviously humans think a lot. We love thinking a lot. And we love putting a lot of our energy into our crown chakras. And because that is where we've got the excess amount of energy in the crown chakra for our consciousness to take on board the information as it sort of grows in a way, we get an extra amount of lineage in the energy so our consciousness can grow. So that's actually been pulled up that way. But what is also happening is I would say the tightening of the energies within the solar plexus and the heart chakra. This has complications for lots of things, for emotions and so forth. And I've got a funny feeling what's actually happening is they'll be inverting as time goes on. So the solar plexus becomes the heart and the heart becomes the solar plexus. And they have different constructions in the way as a chakra. The heart chakra, if you like, is, if you imagine that is like the petals of the chakra, my hand, normally on the solar plexus, you've got some petals that's out in front of you and some petals that are out behind you, and it goes through you like that. Okay? But it's very much on the horizontal energies, because that's what our main chakras are all about. That's the horizontal energies. You've got the vertical energy, which is between the root and the crown. That's one part of the magnetic field. The other part is the horizontal energies, and then you have the directional flow. So as these two sort of like are inverting in from one and another, we will see, and I don't know if you've noticed this around you, you might be able to tell me, we will see maybe, excuse me a second, we will see spikes in emotional intent. That's what it seems like. It's the emotional intent, which can be slightly extreme. Sorry, I've got a complication with my screens there. I do apologise. We will see more and more going from extreme left to extreme right. If we just talk about human governance for a moment, you're going to see this wavering from one side to the other, and it will get more and more as this human system will eventually topple itself, and we will have to reinvent our governance if we get through this pole shift in some sort of order. And what you might have noticed, certainly from 2020, is people that tend to, within your orbit as you're traveling around the world, and no one's perfect here, let's be honest, no one's perfect, but when you're traveling around the world, are you noticing this extreme expression just when you're driving? It seems to be coming to the surface when we're driving around. It seems to have that sort of extremeness about it. And one of the reasons is the way energy works. We are in the process of, as I say, the pole shift, and it does not mean energy is increasing. it's actually on the surface of the Earth, it's most definitely reducing. And the magnetic field of the Earth is reducing enormously. And we've seen it literally drop off a cliff over the last 150 years. It has been reduced, some people say, by 35 to 50% of what it was 150 years ago, which is quite important, I think. It seems to be quite an important thing. But you've got to think of it, energy is not, it's not the quantity is the importance, it's the quality that is the importance. So you've got to look at it like this. It's like you make a sauce, and within that sauce you have lots of essences like salts, herbs, spices, and what have you within that sauce. And when if you've got a sauce on the stove, and there's 2 liters of that sauce, and you've got to boil off that water to make it a little bit thicker and what have you, and you taste it with that, and you just kind of go, oh yeah, it sort of tastes all right. But as you boil away that water, as you compress that sauce, you end up tasting it and kind of going, oh, now it's really getting potent, because the essences are still staying in there. And what we're seeing at the moment with energy is very much a sense of people feeling those spikes and being very much more sensitive to the spikes in the energy that is going on around us. And I think this will happen more and more as we go forward over the next few years. I think it's going to become we may have moments of conflict within the world, but as we have moments of conflict within the world, I think they might be quite explosive at times, but very short-lived. We will no longer see long protracted wars and so forth, which is a great thing, because hopefully we're coming to the idea that it's actually a really bad idea to be knocking hell bells out of each other. It's just a bit of an old way of thinking. We've got to get past that, and I think that's what the consciousness is starting to do with this. What I would call is the common sense revolution that's happening, and this common sense revolution comes from the idea that the root chakra is being pulled towards the crown. The consciousness is coming up to something which is much more common sense. And although we do a lot of activities that take us into our brains, like with the telephones and so forth, and watching things, but there's a lot more sort of energy in a way that's coming through that brings us back to the essence of being an earthling. I'm going to call us earthlings, because I'm not going to call us humans anymore, because we're part of something that's much greater than just us humans. Anyone can tell you that. The birds, bees and trees, the whole kit caboodle, you know what I mean? Fish, whales, whatever you like. We're all part and parcel of it. So it's coming back to the common sense of being, the common sense of being an earthling. And I think this is now, it will start overriding everything, where we will start leaving the extreme side of things and moving into much more the common sense, which actually works for the 99.9% of the people, or the 99.9% of the world, as it were. There's obviously still going to be difficulties in certain aspects of it, but I think it's going to become highly extreme in the way of technological advances as well, if we consciously engage in this change. If we don't consciously engage in this change, it may well be very fractal. And this is part and parcel of, I guess, what we would call free will, which, the big cheese has given us. Free will in the situation. And this is a free will in the fact that we have a choice to be in line with that change, or we have a choice to refuse it. If we refuse that change, like most, like the history of what the human race has been through or the world has been through, we've already been through the four sort of big changes upon the earth, or before, through the human existence, and we're now going into the fifth one, which is like the fifth dimension in a way, if you like. Although the earth is only in the third dimension, but in the fifth dimension, if you like, in the way of consciousness that comes together in a very magical way. And that's what I feel like is happening at the moment. So you may feel that there's a lot of energy at times, but it's more the case that it's more sort of concentrated. The other aspect as well, which I wanted to talk about, which some people may notice as well, is the whole idea of time, and time speeding up. I think what we'll start to notice as well, that there's moments of the day that you feel that things are going really, really quickly. Time is just flying by. And then there's moments of the day when it's really relaxed. And this is the spikes of energy which are going to be coming through the system, which we saw earlier on this year and we saw last year, where we had a lot of aurora borealis because the earth was letting in a lot more vibration, cosmic rays, into the system, which gives us spikes within the system. And as we get this spike of energy that goes up, that makes us emotionally really charged and everything like that in certain degrees, and then 2 days later we go, whoo, got nothing, can't just go, woo, just really okay, nothing going on, sort of thing. And it's that sort of wave factor that's happening, which is all part and parcel of the pole shift. And understanding that, and understanding how we can work with energy in those spikes, I think it's going to start revealing to us the way in which we can bring energy back into our lives on a very everyday aspect, through our health, through our work, through our emotions, through our relationships and our spiritual path, because it has been somewhat excluded, I think, from the earthly experience for some time, since the Dark Ages, basically. And I think that's what's coming back into play. And this time aspect, you may have the sense that actually time is speeding up, and over a longer period of time. Overall, you may have that sensation at the moment. And that is in line with the rotation of the Earth. The Earth has broken all records over the last 2 or 3 years of the speed in which it rotates. And for the first time in 2024, it broke the 24-hour barrier. So we had a day that was less than 24 hours. So, there's subtle changes, but major changes. And that changes a lot within our energies and so forth. If you want to know how to do that, how to adjust to that change, the best thing to do is to look around you. And I'm going to say this, I know, Glenn, you love the trees and so forth. And I'd like to do a live when I'm out in the forest. It'd be absolutely brilliant. We can have a live conversation with the trees. But plant life seems to be, I don't know about you and where you are in your world, where you are in the world, sorry, but I get the sensation that plant life is preempting the change. So sometimes it seems to be, flowering a little bit earlier, as if like it's getting into a dual season, like summer and winter, rather than having the 4 seasons. And it's preempting that change, that pole shift energy, and swinging with it. And I think us as humans, we really need to do that as well. So if you want to know best how to, get in line with these sort of changes, observing what is going on around you in your immediate area is absolutely essential. Talking to other types of energies through trees and what have you is very essential as well. But also looking at the slightly bigger picture of what is going on across the globe as an entity within itself. The moment we can get into that, you can start to understand the changes that are happening within us. And it's not a surprise that we have a movement of people who are moving from one gender to another. We've seen that movement a lot. Some people say it's an agenda that's been put on pushed upon everybody else. Other people say it's a natural thing. I'm not going to get into the whys and hows and stuff like that to that sort of thing. It's a debate for a different channel, but I think it's also part and parcel of that inversion that's creating confusion within us as individuals. To create belief systems that might not necessarily be based in reality, which is a debate that can go on for a long time. But I think that has to do with pole shift as well. So that inversion is happening across the board and in every way. Once you start noticing it around you, it's difficult to stop noticing it, basically. So I think in the future, I think we will be a lot more passionate about life, and we will be a lot more tender about how we interact with the physical world that is around us. And that's simply because the heart and the solar plexus, I think, is inverting. So we will be very passionate about being tender to the physical world that is around us. And that means, between us as humans, but also sort of plants, animals, and what have you, and so forth, that we have an obligation in a way to be good custodians of the planet. So I think we will. I got a funny feeling we're going to step into that role enormously as we go forward. Let me just sort of. There you go. I just needed to cut out the sound that was coming through. I do apologise. Yeah. So it's if we come back to the portal that I keep engaging with on the messages from the earth. This is the spiritual side of it all. And knowing oneself, once you're in line with the energy that is around you and within you, there is a sort of a choice that is being made. Although life is not made of choices, it becomes an evident path that you should be following. And it seems to be a case of following an evident path. I've forgotten who it was. Dolores Cannon, I think it was, talking about the splitting of the two earths and stuff like that. Do you know anything about Dolores Cannon? And her sort of like channeling and stuff like that. If you know anything about it, more than welcome to comment on it. But she talks about the splitting of the two earths. And that's a little bit like, if you like, the Day of Redemption. It's the day of revelation, as it were, the day of all of those sort of things. And it is a moment where, the Egyptians used to weigh the heart, as it were. And I think, when we pass over and we leave this body, our body loses a certain amount of grams in weight. And that has, it's been equated to the spirit or the being of the person. And this is what pole shift is really doing. And sorting out, putting your own house in order is really important at the moment. It's really essential to where you wish to be following as an evident path for you going forward from this dimension to another, or staying in this dimension, or even just sort of saying, do you know what, I'm going to go back and retake my exams. Because some people will be, and there's no judgment about this. There's no one's better than the other. It's just what is evident for you. And that's what seems to be the spiritual engagement. And how we engage in it will determine the way in which the state of the coexistence upon this planet will depend on what we're putting into it now in the future. And so there's it will affect, it's going to affect the whole Akashic libraries. It's already started affecting that, and it's going to affect as well the reincarnation system, and we're already starting to see that within the karmic blocks within the people. Okay, so what did you say there, Glenn? Sorry, I'm aware of her, but haven't really taken on board her messages. Are you talking about the Earth there and the Earth's energy, Glenn? When you take on board the messages, when I listen to messages, you've got to listen in every way. You can't just listen with your mind's eye. You can't just listen with your ear. You've got to listen with what you smell, what you see, what you feel within your body, and it all has to sort of come together. And you just got to take your time, more than anything, when trying to sort of listen to the messages. I'm unaware of her, but haven't really taken on board her messages. Yeah, well, take your time, Glenn. I'm sure you have all the answers within you. What would you like to, it's like, I always said like that, when coming through this life, I sort of said, this is my last one, I'm not coming back. I've been saying that all the way through my life, ever since I was young. And I said, this is my last time round. I've been here since the beginning, I think. I get the sensation I've been here since the beginning. I know this planet inside and out. I know the system. I know the reincarnation system. It's really, yeah. So, yeah, I've been here since the beginning. But, so this is my last time around. And I said, I want to go to a place, in the future, in my next incarnation, where they don't have money, they don't have religion, and they don't have politics. You know what I mean? Bit of a dream. And, and it's like I find that place, but when I get there, they'd have things, they don't have certain things that I'd like music and stuff like that, It's like you can choose an aspect of what you want out of life, and what you should be going towards, but there is a give and take out of the whole sort of system. I think I used to say they don't play soccer, or they don't play football, they only do knitting. And I actually quite like knitting, which I'll actually like crocheting. I think that's quite a good activity to do when you're sitting down meditating. It's a really lovely activity to do, crocheting. I've done loads of hats. My white hat, I crocheted that, so I really enjoyed doing that. But Glenn, I'm sure you'll find the answers to your messages. If you've got to also, you've got to trust yourself as well, and trust the messages that are coming through to you. Does anybody have any sort of other sort of questions about this sort of the changing of the energies? It could be anything sort of like connected to the sort of portals energies, or the even those sort of tablets that were coming through, and those tablet things as well. those tablets seems to, and I think I mentioned it in the last energy messages from energy. They appear to be like a concentration of lessons, and real sort of life lessons for the like a summary in a way of the Akashic library of the lessons that we have all learnt together as one big happy family, really. And like all big happy families, you know, we've all been at that Christmas table when it's been a bit frantic and a little bit fraught at times. But at the same time, we've also been around family where it's been absolutely brilliant. And I'm not saying, it's never 100% easy, but it's certainly been an amazing journey of what we've been through, and we've certainly done a lot. We've also been through this time before. I talk about the four moments of revelation, the 4 moments of evolution in the past. I haven't talked about the DNA yet, as well, because that's going to obviously change the DNA, because our DNA is sort of it's changed through frequency more than anything else, and we may well see a major evolution within the human race. It's like the reason we can't find the missing link. The missing link is actually, more than anything else, the missing link is that evolutionary process that we went through a long time ago. That was major evolutionary process, and I think we're going to be going through a similar sort of thing now. And I think that's going to affect the DNA in multitudes of different ways. It's going to provide fruits that we've never seen before in the future, that will provide us with the nutrients that we need for a new world. And that comes back to that whole Dolores Cannon sort of thing and everything like that, that we've been through in the past. And we've also been through this technological advancements. You just look at Egypt and everything like that. I personally think the pyramids and Stonehenge and so forth are way much older than we actually think, and they could be just readdressed over time, renovated from time to time. And we did have major technological advances before, where if you go back to like the Atlantis, where Atlantis and that sort of period there was, there's evidence of major technology that was using the Earth's energy to create a little bit like Tesla towers and that sort of thing. We have that technology now. We could so easily use it if we so desired, and we've been through that. And what happened? I'll give you Atlantis in a nutshell. What happened was if you like, Atlantis was drawing way too much energy from the magnetic field of the Earth, and what it was doing, like we see at the moment happening in Ethiopia and around that place there, where the mantle is getting a little bit thin and it's getting pulled apart, and like similar sort of thing we've been seeing in Greece and recently. If you imagine you're pulling energy through that system and making it very thin, eventually the crust will just, and it will swallow up that bit of land. And that's pretty much, as in my investigations, when in the past, when I'm learning about things and I'm learning about the history of the Earth, when asking the Akashic libraries, that's the sort of things that were coming to the fore, as it were. So we've been through this whole sort of technological sort of thing. We've been through the destruction, through war, through fire and stuff like that. We've been through the destruction of water, and we've been through the destruction of earth as well. We've been through the 4 elements, and we're coming to the 5th one. So I think we have the biggest. This is in the UK, in old school in the UK. So in the senior school, I don't know what it is in America. I guess it's college. It's college in France, where you going from 10 years old, roughly around about 10 years old to 16 years old. around that period there. We've got in the UK, we've got 5 years, and we're going into that 5th year, which is the year where we're taking our exams. And it's like the last 4 evolutionary attempts of on this earth are now accumulating into this fifth element. This fifth element, yeah, like the film, The Fifth Element. You know what I mean? And we're going into that. So it's a personal journey, but it is also a collective journey because we are contributing to that collective revelation or that collective ascension, if you like, or and so forth. And it doesn't happen on. This is why in I think it's in the Bible, and they say that you'll never know the time or date because there isn't a time or date. It's a period of time, as it were, that it just sort of gradually sort of happens. We're seeing it within. I am under the impression that kids are getting taller and taller. Maybe because I'm a short person. I'm not that short. I think I'm average height. 5'7" or something like 5'7" or something like that. 5'7", 5'8" or whatever. And I think it's pretty average. But I got a funny feeling there's kids that are becoming. The kids these days tend to be getting taller and taller. It's my own personal impression. Maybe I'm getting smaller and smaller. That's what it is. Old age playing its part, as it were. So that's the sort of thing that's sort of coming through. Did you send another message through there, Glenn? Sorry, I didn't see it there, my friend. Same here. Okay, yeah, same here. Good. Excellent. I do apologise not seeing it. Yeah, so, yeah. Do you have any, have you got any other questions about that sort of what's going on with the energy and, anything to do with the portals or anything else that's sort of like that you see in the messages from the earth? I have seen it in the readings as well over the past year. There's been a gradual transition of energy from future to the here and now. And it seems to be a lot more focused on the here and now about it all, which is, fantastic, of course. But yeah, there's been in the readings, and I think that's on a weekly sort of basis at the moment that I'm doing the readings. And there seems to be from week to week you get those sort of spikes coming through the system, which is pretty good. And it does it has these moments where we're really concentrating on the karmic path, and that it seems to be a lot more and on a lot of signs. And then there'll be moments where it does get pulled up into the what's going on in the here and now, as in how we interact with that sort of energy at the moment, and that's building that future as well. So it goes and comes and goes like a sort of like a tide, as it were, comes and goes. And definitely seeing it much more concentrating in the readings, and I think that's what happens with the energy as well. It's becoming a lot more sort of concentrated in the way of sort of energies. So yeah, how's it all sort of is there any questions on the energies and seeing how it's going on for that? It could be about anything. Even if it's not to do with what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. The best thing is don't be scared to ask questions. I'm not. I'm always asking questions. And I do spend a lot of time listening as well, because that's what it's all about. You've got to ask and listen at the same time. So it could be anything to do with health as well. Anything to do with sort of like healings or anything like that. Could could be to do with auras or chakras, whichever you so like. But yeah, being conscious of what is coming down the line makes it a lot more conscious about what we're actually doing. Will we treat animals better in the future? Hi Durban, by the way. Lovely to see you. How is it down there? Nice, and I hope it's warm and what have you. It's getting quite warm up here in the springtime, but yeah, lovely to see you. Do you know what? I got, it's a little bit like, it's like Star Wars, isn't it? Where you got Chewbacca. And at the beginning, you're watching Star Wars. If you've never seen it before, you kind of go, Chewbacca, what's going on? Seems like a bit of an idiot. Not an idiot. That's a nasty thing to say. Like Cody is to me, my dog. He's not my dog. We live together, but he actually plays really, really important parts of keeping everything on the straight and narrow. And I think, Durban, in the future, I think animals and trees and so forth, like it has been in the past, will be a lot more important in decision making going forward. I think they will have a seat at the table in a way. And I think it will become a lot more, animals, plants and what have you will become a lot more important in taken into consideration. That's what I mean about being, when I said about the solar plexus being very much more sort of tender, because the heart chakra might be moving into there, and it will make us a lot more tender about our environment that is around us. And I think animals and so forth, and I think they will become they will be part of the conversation. Like, will we be conscious about, I feel like sometimes like I'm an indigenous person from North America looking at the trees, an old man, just looking at the trees and kind of going, the trees are speaking today, and getting into that whole sort of conversation. And I think we're generally going to get a little bit like that. The more and more the internet grows, the more and more we become dependent upon the people that are living next door to us. I think that's what's going to become really important. How do the trees feel about the recent bad weather? High winds, lots have fallen down near me. Oh, really? Have they? And was wondering, whereabouts are you, Glenn? I don't know where you are in the world, because there was that sort of... there was that hurricane in North cyclone in northwestern Australia recently. I don't know if you're anywhere near there. You're in America, though, as far as I can tell. Trees have been here for a long time. They've been through everything that we've been through. They're like these. They're almost the real custodians of the earth. We just walking around with a uniform on, thinking we are, sort of thing. It's like some trees can only germinate after a forest fire, and so it plays off that sort of destruction, I guess, or the renewal of the land. I think they know how to weather the storm. And when trees go down in a forest, yes, it has to do with the wind and so forth. But it's an understanding of I think certain trees sort of kind of like give in to the wind, and as they lay down, they're actually protecting the other trees standing up, because it pushes the wind up and out. And it's almost like a sacrifice. So you're in Birmingham, UK. Really, you've had the strong wind. There's been quite a few strong. Right, okay. There's been a lot of hurricanes coming that way in the future. It's going to become a lot more windy, I think, in that part of the world. in the UK or in Ireland or in France as it runs up round the Bay of Biscay, sort of like comes up round through. And yeah, it's been a lot more intense, and that I think as well is part and parcel of the pole shift. The trees, I do not worry about the trees personally. I don't like to see any trees on the floor, obviously, like anybody. Um, I've just seen Birmingham out of the corner of my eye, and I just kind of went, do you know what I could do with a curry? It's been a long time since I've had a curry, because Birmingham is it's the capital for curry, I think. But anyway, I'm going off on another subject there. I do apologise, but yeah, no, the trees, they are they are the first and last, and I think they will always be the first and last in a way of it all. And we're going to lose trees in storms, but I do think generally, I think it's only to renew and become even stronger in the future. You know, and it will ultimately be kind of. January it was 80 plus kilometers an hour. Yeah, let me show you. You know, Australia. What was it? Let me have a look. Where is it? There it is. Hang on a second. I'll just bring it up to you. You know, Australia just had that. Look at that. 180 mile an hour winds they had in that cyclone there that hit the northern part of Australia. If we go into, let me just go into the wind map. That's the night version there. Let's just get into the air now. We're on to go on to now. Look at that. That's over the Atlantic at the moment. Just look at that area there of all those winds there. You know, it's not really tight at the moment. It's not really tight, as you can see around there, but that's going to be that magnetic field that's going to really push it away from the. You got the South Atlantic anomaly, which is down in this section here. Hang on a second, I can't see the screen. South Atlantic anomaly, which is down in this section here, and that's whipping that up. And before, all the hurricanes and everything like that used to come in here into America, and they're still going to be doing some of that for quite some time. But I still think there's going to be a lot being pushed up into this direction here as we go into the future. And look at that. It's just a massive thing. If I just show you, there you go, down by northern Australia. Let's just go back quite a few days. You'll see in this section over here, this section, where is it? Hang on a second, I can't see the two maps at the same time. This section here, this is where you'll see it, and it actually it's minute compared with what you can see over the Atlantic at the moment. There it is there, as you can see it just coming up there now, just in that section there. It's actually quite minute to what it was in the UK. With the sort of systems we're getting in the UK, because it's not really tight at the moment. And that's this whole sort of like swirling thing. You know, if we go forward in time, it's trying to push into the UK. You know, and gets pushed off to the north at the moment. And there's another one that's coming off on this section just down here, as you can well see. There's another one coming off. We'll lose the there you go. Well, we're going as far as we can at the moment. But yeah, I think, we're going to get a lot of that sort of thing, Glenn. A lot of, winds. Luckily, Birmingham is protected by islands and stuff like that a little bit, because it tends to lose its intensity when going over land. But yeah, we will see a bit more of that sort of thing going on as well. So yeah. Interesting times. And getting in line, understanding and looking what's going on the bigger picture around us will help us to understand what is going through us in the near future. So, yeah. Changing time. Pole shift energy. If you've got any questions about this, obviously keep posting them. I do answer all the messages. I will sort of be reposting this live on the channel as a straight video. So if you've got any questions that come up in the future, you kind of go away from tonight and you kind of go, oh yeah, I wonder what was, actually I've got a question for you. And if you do have questions, then in the future, and you want to post it on the video that will be posted this live as a video, as it were. So you can, then I can answer it there as well. Okay. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you very much for being here, as per usual. It's lovely to see you all. It's always good to have a Sunday night chat. And I will see you for the messages from energy and the energy update during the week. And then obviously for the tarot readings at the end of the week. In the meantime, I guess it's pretty much all that's left for me to say is, thank you very much for being here. Unless there's any other questions. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I will see you all very soon. There is a bit of a lag between my recording and what actually comes out with the sort of on the channel. So I'll just wait around and see if there's any other sort of questions and stuff like that. But if not, in the meantime, you know what it's like. Don't forget, life should be fun. So please do enjoy.